prison in North Dakota yesterday.
Good morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along here as we're just getting underway. So I pressed the button just a little bit early to make sure we're up and rolling. Everything's looking good. As far as you, I'm not looking so good, but great to have you along. Thanks so much for being here.
We'll have wind chills in the -20s and -30s.
Oh, my nose is running like crazy this morning. Excuse me.
Northwest winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. We'll go with
It's cold. Wow. Not as bad as it was yesterday, though. Going to be nice by the weekend.
News as it unfolds.
All right, here we go.
News Talk 1320, 107.9, and Kello.com. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show this Wednesday, February 19th. Big stories this morning. President and Elon Musk were on Hannity's program last night on the Fox News channel and surprising each other, at least Donald Trump surprising, Elon Musk surprising President Trump. So among the things that we learned last night as Elon Musk was talking about his endorsement of President Trump, you know, he had been mulling it over and then the assassination attempt happened. So he was more than mulling it over. He was planning to endorse Donald Trump. And then we saw the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, and boom, that galvanized it for him then. And he made the endorsement sooner than he had otherwise planned to. And so Musk said in the interview, I was going to do it anyway. So he's talking about endorsing Trump. But then you had the assassination attempt. And so Hannity said that was it. That was a precipitating event, Musk said. And so Hannity says that sped it up a little bit. And Trump turns to Elon Musk and says, I didn't know that. And Musk said, excuse me. Musk said, it sped it up, but I was going to do it anyway, he said. So he announced that he fully supports President Trump, and it went on from there. In some of these news, this Fox story then is getting into a bunch of other comments. I'm interested in what Elon Musk and Donald Trump had to say. I know where to go if I want to see reaction. But also, they talked about the allegations from liberal media pundits and Democrats that they're creating a constitutional crisis. And Elon Musk said that these people are actually guilty of the crime of which they accuse us. And Trump said, that's always the first thing they do. He's in violation of the Constitution. They don't even know what they're talking about, the president said. And he says his accusers couldn't care less about the Constitution. And so then Elon Musk talking about it, saying these allegations are absurd. And he said, when these attacks occur, the thing that they're accusing the administration of is what they are guilty of. Now, how long have many of us been telling you that? I mean, many of us have been saying this for quite a period of time, that what the Democrats are accusing Republicans of is what they're guilty of. I think a lot of us have seen that for a long time. And this is what Elon Musk is saying. And he said, they're saying that things that are being done are unconstitutional, but what they're doing is unconstitutional, he said. And he also talking about, what's going on with the Department of Government Efficiency and the reaction and the court battles. And there's some good news in that on that front this morning. I'll get to that here for you shortly. But Musk said we must be over the target or doing something right. He said they wouldn't be complaining so much if we weren't doing something useful. What we're really trying to do here is restore the will of the people through the president. And what we're finding is that there's an unelected bureaucracy. Speaking of unelected, there's a vast federal bureaucracy that is implacably opposed to the president and the cabinet. And he said all of the outrage from the left is the thrashing of the bureaucracy as we try to restore democracy and the will of the people. So pretty incredible. Also, the president issued a warning to bureaucrats also yesterday that leaders of government agencies need to be radically transparent about their spending. So the White House published a memo entitled Radical Transparency About Wasteful Spending. This was yesterday afternoon. And it says that the American government spends too much money on programs, contracts, and grants that do not promote the interests of the American people. For too long, taxpayers have subsidized ideological projects overseas and domestic organizations engaged in actions that undermine the national interest. And this is why all of this, the thrashing and screaming and belly aching. I mean, it's like a constant parade of it. I mean, I wake up every morning and start listening to Fox, and it's, oh man, you just feel like you're being assaulted. So the administration goes on to say the American people have seen their tax dollars used to fund the passion projects of unelected bureaucrats rather than to advance the national interest. Also, and there's more on this Hannity interview with President Trump and Elon Musk. Elon Musk also accused former President Joe Biden of leaving those 2 astronauts stranded aboard the International Space Station. He said, Elon Musk said they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good, he said. So SpaceX in September launched a capsule to rescue the pair, and it docked successfully, but then NASA wanted to stall its return, and he told Elon Musk, he told Sean Hannity the craft will return to Earth in about 4 weeks after the plans were postponed kind of to a ridiculous degree. And he said, at the president's request or instruction, we are accelerating the return of the astronauts, Elon Musk says. It's another thing that came out of the interview. Also, this is a story at the New York Post this morning. The Department of Government Efficiency pledging to simplify the federal government's credit card program yesterday. That cost us about $40 billion a year. U.S. government currently has 4.6 million active credit cards and accounts, which processed $90 million in unique transactions, they're saying. So they're working with agencies to simplify the program and reduce administrative costs. You can find more details on that at the New York Post this morning. Of course, we've got Ukraine in the news very much this week as the United States meeting with Russia and regarding Ukraine, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio is there meeting with his Russian counterparts to try to move forward on this. In the middle of this, you've got Ukraine and their president, President Zelensky, saying that President Trump is living in a disinformation space created by Russia. Best thing that Zelensky could do is shut his mouth. Man, this guy is just absolutely. More on that in a moment. I want to touch on some local. There's some stories this morning that I want to make sure you're aware of. The South Dakota State Penitentiary on lockdown, and the State Department of Corrections said in a news release, this actually started yesterday morning at about 7:30. So DOC hasn't released the reason, but they say it is not in response to a disturbance or assault, and you've been hearing more details on that from Tom Rooney in the Kello.com News Center this morning. So we'll get Tom will have more on that for you throughout the morning. Also, this is a big story, and I think it's worth talking about. We'll open up the phone lines this morning. We had Mayor Paul Ten Aiken, Sioux Falls Police Chief John Toom, and Minnehaha County State's Attorney Daniel Hager talking about public safety, and they released then numbers talking about the number of homicides, that the number of homicides in Sioux Falls is up, and you're hearing the chief and his response to that. But in those cases, it's victims are always, these people are always known to each other. In other words, you hear about a murder, they're not random. These are people, random murders. These are people who are known to each other. Nobody's trying to make excuses for it, is what it is. 16 homicides in Sioux Falls. But, as you look at other numbers, and both the chief and the mayor pointed this out yesterday, aggravated assaults, burglaries dropped last year. So in a number of other ways, the city is actually safer. And how safe do you feel in Sioux Falls? We're going to talk about that coming up this morning. How safe do you feel in Sioux Falls? I think that's worth discussing and getting your. And I also asked that question for those of you who follow the Greg Belfrage Show on Facebook. So you can answer that question there, and we'll get to your phone calls and hope to share some of your Facebook responses. Email, of course, always open to you. greg.belfrage@kelo.com is my email address. Other big local stories, Attorney General Marty Jackley, a big piece of his package of legislation addressing state employee malfeasance cleared the Senate yesterday. So there were a couple of attempts to try and amend it, which failed. So Senate Bill 62 makes it a Class 6 felony for a supervisor in state government for failing to report a crime when they know an employee has committed one. And there's a great story on this by Jonathan Ellis at the Dakota Scout. They do some nice reporting over at the Dakota Scout. So Jonathan Ellis has got more on that at the Dakota Scout. Also, there's a story at South Dakota Searchlight this morning, also on this issue. So if you got supervisors who know about state employee malfeasance, they don't report it. Attorney General says they deserve a felony charge, maybe even time in prison. And this goes on. So John Holt's got also coverage of that story at South Dakota Searchlight. Our friends over at Kettleland TV, again, not to be confused with KELO Radio, We've been separately owned for over, we're separately owned, both TV and radio, and we have been for over 20 years. I just want to make sure you're aware of that because we share call letters, and in the mind of, and we were owned by the same organization for quite a number of years. And especially among old timers like me, they think we're still owned by this. No, we're not. We're not. We're separately owned, and we have been for a number of years. So if you got complaints about us, by all means, send them to me. If you got complaints about Kellerland TV, by all means, send them to them. Send those to them, not to me. I'm making light of the issue. Anyway, Kellerland TV's got a story on this morning, also about the, a record number of homicides, but the per capita crime rate is actually down. And the mayor is saying yesterday, he said, talking about the nature of the media, and of course he's right about this. He said the media doesn't cover planes landing safely. No, they don't. They absolutely. He's right about that. And then he went on. So let's you and I talk about it this morning. How safe do you feel in Sioux Falls? I think it's worth discussing. I love it in Sioux Falls. As I have told you, I'm from Sioux Falls. I'm a native of Sioux Falls. I live here by choice. And I love the city. I love the folks. I just say it's a great community, especially to raise a family. And I just think it's a great place. Also, other national stories. Medicaid is becoming a political lightning rod. This is a story from FoxNews.com. Republicans then negotiating on a bill to advance President Trump's agenda. And Representative Don Bacon of Nebraska said, I'm concerned that $880 billion out of the House Energy and Commerce Committee is likely very steep cuts to Medicaid. And it's the very thing President Trump asked us not to do. So you can read more on that at foxnews.com. Let's go over to Straight Arrow News. Federal Appeals Court has blocked former President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. This was the SAVE repayment plan. Court ruled that the education secretary exceeded authority by designing a plan that forgave loans. And Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey called it a significant precedent, ensuring that future presidents cannot force working Americans to foot the bill for someone else's Ivy League debt. Also, Senator Chuck Schumer, other Democrats blaming the Trump administration for the Delta plane crash in Canada. You likely have seen that. That video is pretty dramatic. I saw it yesterday morning, and things coming in. It looks like everything's fine. And, hits the ground, flips over. You got wings flying off. And wow, there are a lot of questions being asked about that. If you listen to Clay and Buck yesterday, they were talking about it, but a lot of reaction from folks. So Sean Duffy, who was the administrator of the FAA, said the employees were who were let go were all probationary. None were air traffic controllers or critical safety personnel. But Senator Chuck Schumer saying it's all Donald Trump's fault. I think we're used to that. Also, we've got Kristi Noem, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, launching a new transnational multi-million-dollar ad campaign advising illegal aliens to either self-deport or be deported. And she says, this serves as a strong warning to criminal illegal aliens to not come to America. If they do, they will be hunted down and deported, she said. So she announced a nationwide and international ad campaign warning illegal aliens to leave our country now or face deportation with the inability then to return to the U.S. She said this serves as a strong warning to criminal illegal aliens to not come to America, she said. Also, you've got this is from One America News Network, the nomination of Kash Patel to lead the FBI advanced by the U.S. Senate yesterday. So his nomination is moving forward. So that puts him in a position then likely to be able to lead the FBI. And again, as I have told you, a lot of these things, yes, they're moving some of these nominations are moving slowly. Democrats can slow the process down, but they're not going to be able to block him. So that he likely, just as we have seen with all of the other Trump nominations, again, best they can do is slow it down, not stop it. Also, you had U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan, who has denied a request for a temporary restraining order that would have blocked the Department of Government Efficiency from accessing, and I get a little bit, concerned about why Elon Musk is included in this. Elon Musk is not an official. He's an advisor to the president. He is not the head of the Department of Government Efficiency. And the Trump administration's made that very, very clear. So this was after 14 Democrat-led states sued. Well, Judge Chutkan has denied their request. Also, this is from Newsmax. The president saying yesterday he's instructed the Justice Department to terminate all of the remaining Biden-era U.S. attorneys. Trump said we must clean house immediately and restore confidence, he said. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. I got more here I couldn't even get to. Great to have you along this morning. It's clear and cold, 12 below. It feels like 27 below. And you're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
Yeah, Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires, the Give You More Tire and Automotive Store.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Anderson picture and combination windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and lighten the bedroom or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today.
ABC Seamless. Get incredible savings now during the Halberstadt's annual winter clearance. All seasonal sportswear up to 70% off. Sport coats and shoes as low as $99. Only at Halberstadt's Galleria location, 41st and Louise.
It's time to taste pizzeria creations from 11 different eateries in the Sioux Empire and vote for your favorite pizza. The 2025 Pizza Battle is on February 3rd through the 28th, and bragging rights are on the line. Plus, a portion of the proceeds support local charities. Brought to you by these fine eateries: Big Papa's, Charlie's, Thirsty Duck, Boston's, and Scapegoat. The 2025 Pizza Battle. Taste all the pizzeria creations and vote for your favorite at Kello.com.
If an emergency happened tomorrow, would you truly be prepared? Most Americans aren't. My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted name in emergency preparedness, is offering a special discount on their 3-month emergency food kit. Each kit provides over 2,000 calories daily for 90 days. These aren't typical survival rations. My Patriot Supply provides delicious meals and extras, including chicken, beef, real meat, fruits, and veggies. Being prepared is a state of mind. Take advantage of this special discount to secure your family's future now. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. If you order by 3 p.m., your order will ship within the same day, so you'll be prepared in no time. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
6:30, clear and cold. 12 below. It feels like 27 below at Kello. Tom Rooney's in the Kello.com News Center. We'll check in with him shortly. He'll have more on the prison debate. Is location the main problem? Also, the second straight day of lockdown in the state prison system. Tom will have details coming up here on Kello.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump says Ukraine could have made a deal to prevent war with Russia and says he thinks he has the power to end it now.
I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down.
President Fox's Sean Hannity, joined by Elon Musk. A federal judge in D.C. is refusing to block Musk's Doge cost-cutting team from having access to federal record systems. Musk says opponents are going against the will of the people.
The thing that they're accusing the administration of is what they are guilty of. They're saying
That's what the left always does.
Unconstitutional, but what they are doing is unconstitutional. They are guilty of the crime of which they accuse us.
America's listening to Fox News.
Prison location isn't the only problem. From the Kello.com News.
Excuse me.
Republican Representative Kevin Jensen of Canton is one of the most vocal opponents of a plan to build a new men's penitentiary in his legislative district between Harrisburg and Canton. Jensen says the lack of effective programming and a rehabilitation master plan are more pressing needs than the proposed $825 million facility.
We need to focus more on what's wrong with our system. Why is the recidivism rate over 40%? Are we doing a good job of treatment? Are we doing a good job with mental health? Are we doing a good job educating the people? Are we doing any kind of training?
A bill to complete the funding package for the new prison was forwarded to the legislature's Joint Appropriations Committee yesterday, again without a funding amount and without a recommendation on whether it should be passed. Governor Larry Roden says failing to fund and build the facility is not an option, but so far legislators haven't appeared willing to take that step. Meanwhile, South Dakota prison inmates are on lockdown for a second straight day throughout the system. Department of Corrections officials say this is not in response to any disturbance or assault, and no other details are being provided. There's no timeline on when the lockdown will be lifted. A record number of homicides in 2024, but the numbers say Sioux Falls is the safest it's been in 5 years. Mayor Paul Tenhaken and local law enforcement released the city's semi-annual crime stats report yesterday. Per capita violent and property crimes were at their lowest point since 2019. And American Indian Movement activist Leonard Peltier is a free man, released from prison in North Dakota yesterday. His life term for killing 2 FBI agents on the Pine Ridge Reservation in 1975 was commuted by former President Joe Biden. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Tom Rooney.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Cold weather advisory again this morning. Wind chills in the -20s and the -30s. Mostly sunny for the afternoon. High temperature of 3 degrees. 11 northwest wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, 12 below our low. Mostly sunny skies for tomorrow. High temperature at 12. From the KELOLAND Storm Center, I'm Scott Marks.
Whether it's close to home or halfway around the world, we've got you covered. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9, and Kello.com.
The media is full of stories about women who pose nude and engage in sexual activities for their viewers on OnlyFans. They claim to make big money, but do they? I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. Download the CFO's Guide to Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning for free at netsuite.com/Kim. One OnlyFans model says she made $43 million over the last few years. Wow. So can a gal get rich on OnlyFans? As it turns out, the big money only goes to the top 1/10 of 1% of all OnlyFans creators. These women have already made a name for themselves in the real world. Social media stars and celebrities whose fame is fading, like Maitland Ward or Denise Richards. So they turn to porn. The top 1% make less than $50,000 a year.
Really makes you
The
proud of
average
America,
OnlyFans creator
doesn't
makes
it?
Only around $1,300
Turning
a
to
year.
porn
That's
to
less
hold
than
on to their
$110
celebrity.
a month.
Wow.
You'll always be tech ahead if you join almost 700,000 people who get my free newsletter at getkim.com. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts and you'll get 10 answers. Rates rising or falling, inflation being up or down. Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 41,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and
there we go.
you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backward and more time on what's next. And speaking of opportunity, you can now download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Kim. The guide is free for you at netsuite.com/Kim. That's netsuite.com/Kim. netsuite.com/Kim.
I've jotted myself that note at least, I don't know how many times.
Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored
Not
by
listening to
Tires
myself.
with 2 locations to make sure you have the proper traction this winter.
First Premier Bank has deep roots in South Dakota. Our lenders have extensive experience in the industry and understand the area's ag economy. They also work to understand your needs and provide the right financial resources and local decision-making to help grow, protect, and transition your operation. It's how we've become one of the nation's strongest community banks. Learn more at firstpremier.com/ag. First Premier Bank, member FDIC.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com. Show the coupon at the pharmacy and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40%.
I was thinking here a little bit ago, one of the things I think that I would really like to do is visit with our engineering team and see if there's not a way for me to link the microphone into the stream, and then you wouldn't hear me like this. You wouldn't be hearing me through a microphone and my camera. You would be hearing me through this. I'm going to look into that. I don't know what the challenges might be, because I'm playing music and so on, and the music is a problem. But I'm going to see about getting better audio into the stream, much like during the 4th hour. And currently in Sioux Falls, 638. It is clear and cold, 12 below. It feels like 27 below. Not as bad as yesterday, actually. It's really great to have you along. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Yeah, the hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Top trending story this morning. Federal judge yesterday denied an effort by 14 states to block Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency. Judge Tanya Chutkin wrote that the possibility the Doge could harm the states is not enough to stop their activities. And so she struck that down at a hearing yesterday. Also, the president has signed an executive order expanding access to in vitro fertilization. This is one of the things that the president had promised to do if he was reelected. So Carolyn Levitt said yesterday on X, she said the order directs policy recommendations to protect IVF access and aggressively reduce out-of-pocket and health plan costs for such treatments. And the executive order says that he's turning to others, and he wants recommendations within 90 days on how to make IVF treatments more affordable. And the president in the order said, my administration recognizes the importance of family formation, and as a nation, our public policy must make it easier for loving and longing mothers and fathers to have children. Also, a shipment of 2,000-pound bombs arrived in Israel from the United States over the weekend. You'll remember that former President Joe Biden had put a hold on heavy munitions going to Israel. President Trump now has lifted the hold. These are MK-84 bombs. And so now the flow of these heavy bombs to Israel is restarted. On Sunday, Israel's defense ministry announced the arrival of the first shipment in about 9 months that they had received of those bombs. Also, the number of illegal aliens apprehended trying to come into the United States from Mexico dropped off sharply as the Trump administration has been cracking down on this. Hey, who would have thought that actually aggressively enforcing the law would mean that you would have fewer people attempting to violate the law? I mean, who knew? So the number of U.S. Border Patrol apprehensions from January 21st through January 31st of this year, in that 10-day period, the number of apprehensions dropped 85% from the same period last year. And they attributed the decline. This is Customs and Border Protection saying the reason is they're no longer catching and releasing illegal aliens into the United States. And they're saying they're trying to take every reasonable step to ensure illegal aliens are placed in detention and expediently removed from the country. In simple terms, illegal aliens are being arrested, detained, and then rapidly removed. Also, the Department of Government Efficiency, media is having a hard time. Elon Musk is not actually part of the Department of Government Efficiency. He's an advisor to the president. So Musk has been urged by Republican politicians to shift his attention toward Fort Knox. And this story has been trending throughout the week. Senator Rand Paul asking for a look inside of Fort Knox because the last one that was done was 1974. Wow. Also, that dramatic video of that Delta Airlines flight that crash landed at Toronto's airport this week that flipped over the thing burst into flames. That story is still trending. It is, you have seen it. I mean, the footage has been shared on the Today Show, a number of other shows. Very easy to find online. As I watched it yesterday, and the thing, it's coming down, and man, suddenly landing gear goes down, but it hits the ground hard and then immediately starts to tilt to the right. You got fire coming out of the back half of the plane. The plane flips over, and remarkably, no one was killed. There were 80 people on board the plane, 76 passengers and 4 crew. All of them were evacuated. There were some injuries, but no one died. But there were more than a dozen injuries. But you watch that footage, it's amazing anybody survived that landing. Wow. Also, a senior Hamas leader saying that Hamas will release 6 living Israeli hostages on Saturday and the bodies of 4 others tomorrow. This is a top official with Hamas. So 6 living Israeli hostages will be released this Saturday. And you've got then a number of people who've died in captivity, including children. I mean, it's just heartbreaking stuff. So Hamas saying they'll return the body of 4 that didn't survive captivity. I'm trying to be kind here. It's just really shocking stuff. Representative Claudia Tenney of New York has introduced a bill to recognize President Donald Trump's birthday and make it a federal holiday, recognizing him as the founder of America's golden age. And she said, just as George Washington's birthday is codified as a federal holiday, this bill will add Trump's birthday to the list, recognizing him as the founder of America's age. And so Donald Trump's birthday is June 14th, which you may recognize as Flag Day. And so this is what Tenney is trying to do. And this cracks me up because my former wife, her birthday is on June 14th. Oh man, this is going to go right to her head. No, I'm joking. But her father used to tease her when she was little and told her that the reason they were flying all the flags, all the businesses, they have the flag, businesses putting the flags out the street. And he told her, why are the flags out? Oh, it's because your birthday. He would tell her. So she thought they were flying the flags because it was her birthday. I always thought that was so cute. All right. Also, other stories trending this morning. Top federal prosecutor in Washington resigned yesterday after refusing an order from the Justice Department to direct a bank to freeze accounts holding $20 billion in climate change money that had been allocated by former President Joe Biden and his climate spending law. So this is the head of the criminal division in the U.S. Attorney's Office said in a letter that seeking to prevent the money from being spent and pressuring her to launch a criminal investigation without sufficient evidence. I don't know, seriously, based on what we have seen over the course of the last couple of months, and what Doge has been finding, really, seriously, that's the claim you're going to make, huh? No sufficient evidence. Given all that we know about President Joe Biden and the things that he was involved in and what he was So she's worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office since 2000. Interim U.S. Attorney Ed Martin demanded her resignation after she refused to order the bank to freeze the funds and say that a criminal probe then was underway. She said that step was permitted only if prosecutors had probable cause to believe a crime was committed. So the idea that, again, this is all federal government spending and the people who are trying to stand in the way. So you can't take a look at it, huh? You can't take a look at it? You can't order a freeze on it and say, we want to make sure this is all above board. We can't do that. Once that money, that's it. That's it. I mean, there's no going back. You can't ever change it. I mean, if that sounds like crazy town to you, it does to me as well. Also, you had the acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration stepping down from her role. This is Michelle King, and this has been in the news the last few days. And I mean, honestly, looking at, and I've been watching a number of these stories in more detail than I've been sharing with you on the air. And a lot of this, that story is trending. You can always go find more information if you want, which is why I try to touch on so many. But the complaints and what people are saying is just absolutely laughable. It's absolutely laughable. ASAP Rocky was found not guilty in a firearms case. And so he dove from the defense table into the arms of Rihanna yesterday as the clerk read the not guilty verdict. He had been on trial on 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. So ASAP Rocky, if you're not familiar, is a hip-hop performer, and a lot of his fans were there. And so they were all grateful. Also, the head of the food division at the FDA has resigned. The division is tasked with ensuring then, of course, that the country's food supply is safe. And so his resignation comes after the Trump administration last week, cutting thousands of federal workers, including some who worked at FDA. And so in an interview, he said, and I want you to listen to this because it really struck me. He said, I'm not sure if it's a lack of understanding of how things get done or that there's really no seriousness about what they want to get done. I don't know, but I didn't want to spend the next 6 months of my career on activities that are fundamentally about dismantling an organization as opposed to working on the stated agenda. You're the head of the FDA. You're the head of the FDA, and you don't want to find efficiencies. You know what? Good riddance. That's all I would say. Seriously. You don't want to find efficiencies? You're the head. You're not out there. You've got other people that are doing the actual work. You're running the agency, right? I mean, I've got to wonder if you're having the same reaction that I have to all of these stupid, okay, you don't want to actually, then you're in administration. The job of administration is not the same as somebody on the front line. You don't want to find efficiencies. You don't want to save the taxpayers' money. I'm not going to be heartbroken then when you leave. And you're seeing this of a lot of these people. These stories are trending because they're leaving the federal government, making a big deal about it as they go. I want to throw a party. I mean, seriously, I'm just like, hey, good riddance, man. That kind of antiquated thinking is a big part of the problem. So, hey, man, if you can't join in and say, yeah, this is my job. I want to make sure that we've got to be efficient. And are we doing things as efficiently as we can? Are we saving the taxpayer dollars where we can? Then so long. I'm just not losing sleep over all of these agency heads and their complaints and their whining and get ready for it. I mean, this is seriously, what are we, a few weeks into the Trump administration? And we're going to hear that this is going to be the next 4 years. This is what we're going to hear. It's going to be lawsuits. It's going to be federal employees complaining. It's going to be, and I'm already just sick to death of all that stuff. So, hey, it is what it is, man. Elections have consequences. This is what a lot of us have been saying. Elections have consequences. Federal government's too damn big. I mean, if I were a federal government employee and unless I was doing, it's just, I'm mystified by all this. Just crazy. Okay, other stories trending this morning. Elon Musk, as his new Grok 3, which is a state-of-the-art AI bot, is surpassing. Elon Musk says it's the smartest AI on Earth. And in an evaluation of AI, it achieved a record-breaking score, outperformed models from OpenAI, that's the one I use, is OpenAI, and China's DeepSeek. So Grok 3 has now been released. Some of the reviews are not good. Now, I'll leave it to you to decide if you use the AI, but I have not used it. I'm familiar with it, but some of the reviews have not been good. And then finally this morning, the U.S. ramping up efforts to hunt down fentanyl labs by secretly flying drones over Mexico. This is coming from U.S. officials saying that the expanded flights are part of the Trump administration's efforts to fight the drug cartels. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. 6:57, clear and cold, 12 below. It feels like 27 below at Kello. Well, thanks for starting your day here. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Whether you're here, whether you're part of the fourth hour at 9:30 every day, just thanks so much. Couldn't do it without you. So take care. Have a great Wednesday.